Listen closely. If you feel that familiar rush of excitement when you tell someone about your latest project or goal, but then, almost immediately, that rush fades. Good. That fleeting sense of satisfaction, it's your mind tricking you into thinking you've accomplished more than you really have. In a world where sharing is the norm and everyone's life seems to be on display, it's easy to forget that some things are meant to be kept private. The truth is, sharing too much too soon can kill your drive. It takes away the hunger that pushes you forward. The Stoics taught us that true growth isn't about seeking validation from others. It's about mastering the art of silence and inner discipline. When we stop seeking approval, we start building, creating and achieving in ways that speak louder than any announcement ever could. So, if you're tired of the constant need to share every step of your journey, if you're ready to stop leaking your energy into conversations that don't serve you, then stick with me. In this video, we'll dive into 10 powerful lessons that will completely transform how you approach your life and your growth. It's time to protect your energy and let your actions speak for themselves. And if you're ready to take the first step toward a more focused, disciplined and meaningful life, consider subscribing. This isn't just about following a channel, it's about committing to your own growth and embracing the quiet strength that comes with it. Your life is not for public consumption. There's something deeply unsettling about feeling the need to share everything with everyone. Whether it's a small achievement or a new project you're starting, the temptation to announce it is often overwhelming. But here's the truth. Your life is not a performance for the world to applaud. Every time you open up about your goals and plans, you're not just sharing information, you're losing control. You trade your progress for a momentary applause, only to find that it's never enough. Your next big step, sharing even more. But what you may not realize is that each time you share, you create a cycle. The more you speak, the less you do. It's the trap of needing external validation, of feeling that you're incomplete unless someone else acknowledges your efforts. The Stoics believed that the best way to grow wasn't through loud proclamations, but through quiet, consistent work. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Let your actions be the only thing that defines you. Build in silence, and when the time is right, the world will see the results." We've all been there, right? Sharing every detail of our lives, hoping to get a reaction, hoping to feel recognized. But the problem is, the more you give away, the less you have left for yourself. When you share too much, you dilute your energy. You start chasing attention instead of building something real. Think about it. How often have you felt more motivated after telling someone your plans? The truth is that initial rush fades quickly. Once the world knows what you're doing, the craving for approval takes over. This is why the most powerful people don't feel the need to announce their every move. They understand the value of privacy, and they protect it fiercely. Every time you reveal your plans to the wrong people, you're not just sharing information, you're weakening your ability to execute. Instead of talking about it, do it. Let the results speak louder than any announcement. Think about your life as a precious resource, something that needs protection. When you expose too much of it, it becomes vulnerable. Everyone you share with, whether intentionally or not, has an impact on your energy. Not everyone who listens has your best interests at heart. Some listen to compare, some to gossip, and some to make you feel small. This is why it's essential to recognize that not every conversation deserves your time and energy. Epictetus famously said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The less you need from others, the more power you have over your own life. When you stop seeking external validation, you start building a foundation that doesn't rely on the approval of others. Protect your energy by choosing who gets access to your private thoughts, your plans, and your struggles. Not everyone deserves to know what's happening in your world, and that's okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. The idea of keeping things to yourself doesn't mean you're being secretive or cold. It's about creating the space you need to truly grow. You know that quiet feeling when you're working on something important, but you haven't told anyone yet. It's the feeling of pure, undisturbed progress. It's the kind of progress that doesn't seek a crowd, because the moment you invite them in, you invite their doubts, their judgments, and their noise. This quiet space where your work lives is where the most significant transformation happens. The challenge is this. It's time to take back control of your life by sharing less. The less you share, the more room you create for action, for growth, and for true achievement. Stop looking for validation in other people's eyes. Build in private, work in silence, and protect your energy fiercely. Your life is too valuable to become just another spectacle. So, from this moment on, start letting your work speak for itself. Let your actions show the world who you are, not your words. It's time to stop leaking your energy into pointless conversations and start building a future that's meaningful to you, not to anyone else. When you make this shift, you'll see how much power you've been holding all along. Words lose power when they're given too soon. How many times have you shared your big idea with someone, whether it's a new project, a fitness goal, or a business venture, only to feel a strange sense of satisfaction, followed by a sudden loss of motivation? You get that brief rush, that little jolt of excitement, but then it fades. The moment you speak your goals out loud, your mind believes the work is already done. And what happens next? The energy you need to actually take action. It's drained. It's like you've already completed the task, and now there's nothing left to push you forward. We all fall into this trap, thinking that sharing our plans is part of the process. But in reality, it's one of the biggest barriers to actually achieving them. Words are powerful, yes. They have the ability to inspire, to influence, and to set things in motion. But the moment you release them into the world, they lose some of their power. It's like pouring out the fuel that's supposed to drive your engine. Think about how many times you've started something, whether it was a new habit or a new venture, and felt compelled to tell someone about it. It's almost like you're seeking approval or validation, or maybe just that little moment of being seen. But here's the thing. The more you share, the less you actually do. You convince your mind that you've already earned some sort of reward. But the truth is, the real reward comes from the work you put in, not the applause you get from talking about it. Sharing your ideas might feel good, but it's an illusion. You're trading your hunger for recognition, and in doing so, you've already dulled the edge of your drive. It's easy to get caught up in this cycle. It's tempting to tell the world about the new business you're starting or the book you're writing. But the longer you talk about it without doing the work, the more you trick yourself into thinking you're actually making progress. And the reality is, you're not. You're just setting yourself up for a crash when the applause fades and you're left with nothing but empty promises and an unfinished project. The most successful people aren't the ones constantly announcing their next big thing. They're the ones quietly doing the work. They understand that progress doesn't come from talking about it. It comes from staying focused and building in silence. Every time you share what you're doing, you risk letting go of that crucial, quiet energy that comes from self-discipline. Instead of speaking your goals into existence, live them. Focus on the steps, the hard work, and the consistency that will eventually lead to the results you want. This is the real magic. When you do the work in silence, your results will speak louder than any words ever could. Your actions will show the world who you are and what you're capable of, without you ever needing to announce it. At the end of the day, what matters is not how many people know about your plans, but how much effort you're putting into making them a reality. So, next time you feel the urge to share your big idea with someone, ask yourself, am I doing this for validation, or am I genuinely ready to take the next step? If the answer is the former, take a step back. Refocus. Let your actions, not your words, define who you are. You don't need to announce your next move to the world. You need to do the work first and let the results speak for themselves. Let that be the lesson. Words are powerful, but action is what gets you where you want to go. Attention is a currency. Stop wasting it. We all want to be seen, heard, and understood. It's human nature. But let's be honest. How often do we pour our energy into conversations with people who don't really care? You share details of your life, your struggles, your achievements, your plans, and the response is lackluster at best. Maybe they nod, maybe they don't even listen, and yet you've just given away a piece of yourself. The thing is, attention is a currency, and every time you spill your life story to someone who isn't invested, you're paying a price and getting nothing in return. Your time, your mental energy, and your focus are all drained. It's like tossing money into a pit, watching it disappear, and still hoping it somehow comes back to you. But it won't. The moment you realize how valuable your attention truly is, you'll start guarding it fiercely. As Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." If you're constantly sharing your energy with people who don't help you grow, you're denying yourself that privilege. You're not becoming who you truly are. You're becoming a version of yourself that seeks approval, that craves validation, and that endlessly seeks to be understood by the wrong people. The truth is, your attention is one of the most precious resources you have. Every minute you spend talking to someone who isn't aligned with your growth, you're taking that time away from what truly matters. Think about it. When was the last time you spent your energy on something that fueled your progress? Your goals, your health, your passions, those things deserve your focus. Yet, how many hours have you lost in conversations that led nowhere? How many times have you left a chat feeling drained, yet you couldn't pinpoint exactly why? It's because your attention has been given away to something that doesn't serve your higher purpose. We've all been there. You're deep in a conversation, sharing every little detail, and you get that momentary sense of relief, like you're connecting. But as soon as it's over, the feeling vanishes. Why? Because when we overshare, we're not giving something valuable to someone who can help us grow. We're giving away pieces of ourselves to someone who doesn't value them. Instead of offering your focus and time to people who will drain you, direct it toward those who will help you become better. Those who challenge you, inspire you, or push you toward your true potential. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone, but it does mean being mindful of where and to whom you're investing your energy. Your focus is too valuable to waste on conversations that leave you empty. Consider this. The more you share with the wrong people, the less you have left for yourself. The more you seek external validation, the more you deplete your internal resources. And when you're constantly looking for approval or talking just for the sake of talking, you're not living with intention. You're letting your energy slip through your fingers. True power lies in being selective with your attention. The Stoics believed that you are in control of your mind, your thoughts, and your energy. They didn't waste their time seeking approval or validation from others. Instead, they focused on their inner world, knowing that when they directed their energy inward, it would reflect outward in their actions. Most of the suffering we experience is a result of losing our focus, thinking we need external approval, and wasting our attention on things that don't matter. Imagine if you spent even half of that wasted energy on building something meaningful for yourself. What could you accomplish? You see, when you protect your attention and put it where it matters, you're able to live with more purpose. Your energy is no longer spread thin, it's focused, deliberate, and effective. Instead of letting your attention go to people who don't truly care, start putting it into the things that make you grow. Invest in your goals. Take care of your health. Keep building your momentum. And when someone tries to take your energy, remember, your attention is valuable and you don't need to give it away just because someone asked for it. Choose where you put your focus, because what you feed grows. When you stop wasting your attention on people and things that don't serve you, you'll start seeing results you never thought possible. Protect your attention, and the progress you seek will follow. Respect your boundaries. No one deserves everything. It's so easy to fall into the trap of feeling like you owe everyone an explanation for your life, your choices, and your progress. In our world, we're constantly sharing, whether it's on social media, in casual conversations, or even in our close relationships. We share our victories, our struggles, and everything in between, almost as if we're expected to justify our existence. But here's a hard truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation. When you start giving away too much, when you begin to spill every detail, you start to weaken your own boundaries. The more you share, the more your sense of self begins to erode. People will begin to expect that level of openness, and before you know it, they start defining your life by what you tell them. Your narrative isn't theirs to shape. It's yours. And protecting it means learning when to keep things to yourself, no matter how much guilt or pressure you might feel. The Stoic philosopher. It's natural to feel like you're doing something wrong when you don't share everything. Society tells us that we should be open, transparent, and authentic by revealing all. But true authenticity isn't about overexposing yourself for validation. It's about being real with yourself and knowing when to protect what's precious to you. By learning to say no to the demand for constant updates, you're asserting control over your life. Your life is not an open book for anyone to flip through whenever they want. When you let others dictate what you should share, you lose the power to decide what truly matters to you. It's not about hiding. It's about choosing wisely what deserves to be shared and when. Not everyone needs to know your every move. Sometimes simply saying, "I keep some things private," is enough. You don't have to justify it, and you certainly don't have to explain why. It's your right to keep some things for yourself. When you constantly share, you inadvertently make yourself vulnerable in ways that don't serve you. Every time you explain or justify, you're handing over control of your narrative. The more you give, the more people expect, and soon you're drowning in a sea of expectations, all of them shaping who you are. You become a reflection of what others want from you, rather than the person you are trying to become. If you want to protect your boundaries, it starts with understanding that you don't need to explain yourself at every turn. Your actions will speak for you, and they will speak louder than any words you say. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to others. They're about saying yes to yourself. When you keep certain parts of your life private, you're not shutting others out. You're protecting your inner peace. You're protecting your growth. The more you share, the more you give away, but the less you have left to nurture your own journey. The more you protect your boundaries, the more you preserve your energy for what truly matters. The process of self-discovery and growth is private, personal, and sacred. It's something you need to guard fiercely. And the beautiful part of this is, the more you practice this discipline of keeping things to yourself, the stronger your sense of self becomes. You stop defining yourself by others' expectations and start living according to your own truth. This isn't about being closed off. It's about being intentional with your energy. Learning to say no when necessary and keeping some things private is an act of self-respect. It's about choosing to protect your focus and energy so you can channel them into what really matters. So next time you feel the urge to explain yourself or share every update, remember this. Not everything needs to be shared. You are allowed to keep parts of your life just for you. You don't have to justify your decisions. Saying less often means saying more, not in words, but in the actions that speak louder than anything you could say. Your life is your own, and the boundaries you set are your greatest defense against a world that constantly asks for more. Your momentum is yours. Protect it. Have you ever felt more confident when no one knew what you were working on? That quiet, almost secretive feeling when you're deep in the grind. focusing on your goals, without the weight of anyone's opinions or expectations hanging over you. It's almost like a superpower, isn't it? The power of being invisible, of moving in silence while building something that matters to you. The moment you start sharing your journey with others, it's as if you open the door to judgment, doubt, and a whole lot of pressure that you didn't ask for. People start weighing in, offering advice or criticism, and all of a sudden, you're distracted by everyone else's opinions about what you should be doing. It can derail your momentum, slow you down, or even stop you from moving forward. The truth is, your momentum is yours, and it's precious. Once you let others in too early, you risk losing that momentum. You risk getting caught up in what they think, rather than what you need to do. And that's a dangerous game. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When you keep your progress to yourself, you allow yourself to fail, to try again, to experiment, without the weight of everyone's judgment or the burden of external expectations. It's in the silence where you can truly focus on the work. When you're invisible, you're free to make mistakes without feeling the shame of others watching. And in a way, those mistakes are part of the process, the key ingredients to learning and growth. But the moment you open up, you invite unnecessary pressure. You invite the world to weigh in on something that's still taking shape, and that can make you second-guess yourself, or worse, abandon the idea altogether. It's in the quiet where the strongest growth happens. When you build in silence, your results speak for themselves. People won't be there to witness every step of the process, but they will be there when the results are undeniable. You don't have to explain yourself, you don't need to justify your progress, and you certainly don't need to ask for permission. All you have to do is stay focused and stay quiet. Keep your momentum intact by protecting it from the noise around you. Think of it like planting a seed. When you first plant it, you don't show it off to the world. You don't parade it around for everyone to see. You let it grow in peace. You nurture it in silence, away from the distractions and pressures of others. In time, when it's ready, the world will see it for what it is, strong, resilient, and undeniably beautiful. And that's how your journey should be. When you protect your momentum, you give yourself the space to focus on the small daily actions that move you forward. No distractions, no unnecessary conversations, just you and the work that needs to be done. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you need to share your progress to validate it. But that's not true growth. Real growth happens when you're willing to do the hard work in silence, knowing that the results will eventually show up. When you let go of the need for validation, you reclaim your focus and, in turn, your power. There's something incredibly freeing about building without an audience. It allows you to take risks, experiment, and truly discover what works for you without fear of judgment. And when the time comes, when you're ready to share what you've built, you can do so with confidence, knowing that your results are a reflection of your quiet, consistent effort. The world will take notice when it's ready, but you don't need to rush that moment. Build in silence, protect your momentum, and let the work speak for itself. Gossip is a system. Don't feed it. We all know that people talk. It's just part of life. Whether it's a casual conversation at work or a chat with a friend, gossip is always lurking in the background. But here's the thing. When you overshare, you're feeding that gossip machine. You're giving people the raw material to talk about. And once that information is out there, it's no longer yours. The more you share, the more ammunition you provide for others to form opinions, pass judgments, and weave stories about your life that may not even be true. It doesn't matter if your intentions were pure or if you simply wanted to vent or connect. Once your thoughts leave your mind, they take on a life of their own. They become part of someone else's narrative, and often that narrative doesn't align with your truth. As Carl Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But when we overshare, we open the door to misunderstandings, and our growth becomes something for others to judge, twist, and scrutinize. The truth is, people are going to talk whether you stay quiet or not. It's simply part of human nature. The difference is, when you overshare, you give them a narrative that they can cling to, twist, and use against you. As you grow, as you change, and as you improve yourself, you'll find that others will continue to hold on to outdated versions of you. They will remember the you from years ago, the you that maybe wasn't as confident or driven, and as you move forward, those old versions will live on in their minds, often becoming the story they tell about you. Imagine trying to evolve, trying to leave behind your old habits, only to find that everyone around you still sees you as that person you no longer are. It's exhausting, and the more you share, the more material you give people to create their own narratives about who you are, without ever truly seeing the real you. That's why protecting your growth means protecting your private thoughts. You don't need to share every idea or feeling you have in the moment. Keep some things to yourself so that when you evolve, it's not clouded by other people's perceptions. The more you give away, the more you risk losing control over your own story. We all have our personal struggles, dreams, and emotions, but when we expose them too early or to the wrong people, they get distorted. Your private thoughts are yours for a reason. They are the foundation of your inner world, and they need protection. Once they are out in the open, they can be misused, misinterpreted, and turned into gossip. When you leave too much of yourself on display, you become vulnerable to the opinions of others, and those opinions can easily turn into judgments that follow you, even as you try to move on and grow. The more you share, the more of your past self others carry with them. This doesn't mean you need to isolate yourself or cut off meaningful relationships, but you need to understand the power of keeping some things close to your chest. Your private thoughts, your emotions, and your plans deserve that respect. Keep them protected, and they'll remain yours to shape. When you keep certain parts of yourself private, you not only protect your growth, but also create space for authenticity. You allow yourself to move through the world without constantly feeling the weight of others' opinions. Think about it. When you share less, you're able to focus on the things that truly matter, without getting distracted by how people perceive you. When you're not caught up in constantly explaining yourself, justifying your decisions, or worrying about what others will say, you can move forward without hesitation. You can fail without fear, experiment without shame, and grow without the need to defend yourself. This is the power of silence, the power of choosing what you allow others to see. Seneca put it perfectly when he said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The fear of gossip, of being misunderstood, often creates more suffering than the actual situation. But when you decide to protect your private life, you can free yourself from that suffering. You no longer have to live under the scrutiny of others' opinions. You may think that sharing everything is a way to be authentic, but in reality, it often keeps you stuck in the past. It keeps you connected to versions of yourself that are no longer relevant. Instead of sharing everything, choose to share only what will move you forward. Protect the parts of you that are growing, evolving, and shifting. Protect your space to change, and don't let others hold you back by trapping you in their version of who you are. Your growth is yours to define, and when you keep it private, you keep it pure. So next time you're tempted to overshare, ask yourself, am I feeding the gossip machine, or am I protecting my own growth? Keep your progress to yourself, and let your actions show the world who you are. People only want the predictable you. The moment you decide to change, to shift your habits, or to step into a new version of yourself, something strange happens. People start asking questions. They'll want to know, why are you doing that? Or, who told you to do that? At first, these questions may seem like genuine curiosity, but in reality, they're not about understanding you. They're about pulling you back to the person you used to be. When you start changing, it challenges the comfort of those around you. The old you is easy to understand, easy to predict, and easy to control. But the moment you start shifting, you throw that predictability off balance. The people around you might not even realize it, but they feel threatened. When you break free from what they've always known, you challenge their comfort zones. And that discomfort leads to questions, doubts, and sometimes even resistance. It's as if they're trying to keep you stuck in the past so they can stay comfortable. But here's the truth. Your growth doesn't need to be explained. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the changes you're making in your life. The truth is, people prefer the predictable version of you because it keeps them safe. It keeps the narrative familiar and the dynamics stable. When you step out of line with what they expect, they're faced with their own discomfort. They don't want to confront the possibility that change is not only possible but necessary. So they'll try to hold you back, often without even realizing it. Their questions, their doubts, their attempts to pull you back to the old you, they're just ways of trying to keep their world as it was. But here's where it gets tricky. If you engage with these doubts, if you defend your decisions, you end up reinforcing their need to hold on to the old version of you. Don't argue with them. Don't defend your growth. Just keep walking. Keep moving forward with the confidence that you don't need anyone's permission to change, to grow, or to evolve. This is where true growth happens, in the moments when you keep going, even when the world around you tries to pull you back. People may not want you to change because your transformation forces them to question their own lives. They might not say it outright, but they're watching you, hoping you'll fail, hoping you'll return to the comfort of the old you. And if you give in to their doubts, you lose the very momentum you've worked so hard to build. The key is to stay focused on your journey, to remember that your growth doesn't need anyone else's approval. You're not here to please anyone. You're here to become the best version of yourself. As you grow, you'll start to notice something important. The people who are truly meant for your life will support your changes, not try to hold you back. The ones who can't understand your transformation may start to distance themselves. And that's okay. Sometimes growth means outgrowing people. You're not responsible for their comfort, and you certainly don't have to justify your evolution to anyone. The more you defend yourself, the more you reinforce their control over your life. The best thing you can do is to stay steady, to stay focused, and to let your actions show your commitment to your growth. Every time you choose to stay true to your journey, despite the questioning looks and the doubts of others, you strengthen your resolve and deepen your understanding of who you are becoming. The process of change doesn't need to be explained to anyone. It doesn't need to be justified or defended. It simply needs to be lived. Every time you stay committed to your own transformation without needing validation from others, you reclaim your power. You're building something lasting, something that's not swayed by the opinions of others. And the more you walk in that direction, the more you'll realize that those who truly matter will walk alongside you, not try to pull you back to who you were. Change is inevitable, but it's yours to shape. So next time someone questions your growth, don't feel the need to explain. Just keep walking. Keep moving forward. Your journey is yours, and it doesn't need to be understood by anyone but you. Silence is training, not emptiness. Silence feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? We're so used to filling the space with words, to constantly talking about what we're doing, what we're feeling, or where we're headed. It's almost like we can't handle a quiet moment without rushing to say something, anything, just to fill it. But here's the kicker. Silence isn't emptiness. It's actually where the real work happens. When you stop sharing everything, stop constantly seeking validation, you'll start to notice something strange. At first it might feel unsettling. You'll feel that itch to speak, to explain yourself, to fill the space. That discomfort? It's a sign that you're training yourself. You're training yourself to sit with your own thoughts, to be okay with the stillness, and to stop using words as a way to distract yourself from your inner world. Silence is not a void, not an empty space. It's the foundation of true strength. Most people are so accustomed to constant noise and validation that they can't imagine being in silence for long. But the power that comes from silence is far greater than any temporary reassurance you can get from others. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Silence is where you go to look inside. It's where you can finally hear your own thoughts, your own desires, your own truths, without the influence of others. Every time you fill that space with words, you rob yourself of the opportunity to grow in that quiet. You miss the chance to build mental strength and clarity. You lose the power that comes from mastering your thoughts and emotions. The more you learn to embrace silence, the more you'll find that it's not empty. It's full of possibilities, full of insights, and full of the strength you need to keep moving forward. It's not easy, though. That discomfort you feel when you're silent? It's real. We've been conditioned to believe that noise and words equal progress. The truth is, they often prevent it. When you're constantly speaking, constantly sharing your every thought and plan, you give away pieces of yourself. You dilute your power, and you get caught up in seeking approval rather than in doing the actual work. Silence, on the other hand, allows you to focus on what really matters. It gives you the room to think, to create, and to build without the pressure of external expectations. When you're alone in silence, you're forced to face your thoughts, your goals, and your emotions. And that's where true growth happens, not in the noise of the world, but in the stillness of your own mind. By learning to sit with discomfort, by learning to embrace silence, you'll notice a change. You'll begin to trust yourself more. You'll become more confident in your own decisions, knowing that you don't need external validation to be sure of yourself. In silence, you don't need to explain your every move. You can just be. And the beauty of that is, when you come out of that silence, when you finally share something, it will be from a place of strength. It won't be for reassurance or approval. It will be a sharing of your growth, your wisdom, and your truth. That's when your words carry real weight. We live in a world that often celebrates noise, whether it's talking, sharing, or posting everything you're doing. But real power lies in the moments when you choose silence. When you choose to do the work, to face your challenges head-on, without the need for applause or constant validation. Silence isn't emptiness. It's where you build. It's where you find your center, your clarity, and your strength. So the next time you find yourself in a quiet moment, don't rush to fill it. Sit with it. Embrace it. Because in that silence, you'll discover more about yourself than any conversation could ever reveal. Not everyone deserves to hear your truth. Your life is not a performance for the world. It's your home, and a home has doors. Not everyone should have access to those doors. In fact, some people don't even deserve to step inside. The more you share your innermost thoughts, dreams, and struggles with others, the more you risk losing the true essence of who you are. When you let too many people in, you begin to mold yourself to fit their expectations, to please them, to make them comfortable with who you are. But here's the harsh reality. When you do that, you stop being true to yourself. You start changing for others, shifting who you are to meet their approval, and in the process, you lose sight of your own path. The truth is, not everyone who asks to hear your story is worthy of it, and that's perfectly okay. It's tempting to share everything with people, especially those we care about or admire. But the more you open up to those who are not aligned with your growth, the more energy you give away. Instead of building yourself up, you end up spending your time trying to build relationships that drain you. Not everyone is meant to walk through the door of your inner world. In fact, most people aren't. Those who truly deserve access to your life are the ones who support your growth, challenge your limits, and encourage you to be the best version of yourself. You don't need to give everyone a front row seat to your personal journey. You don't have to explain your every decision or justify every choice. Protect your peace by learning to keep some things to yourself. Your dreams, your plans, your struggles, they don't belong to anyone but you. Think about it. The more you share with people who don't have your best interest at heart, the more you invite their opinions, their judgments, and their expectations into your life. And all of that can cloud your mind, distract you from your purpose, and make you question your own worth. When you constantly open up to the wrong people, you start changing not to grow, but to fit into the molds they've created for you. Your life becomes a series of performances, trying to meet other people's standards. That's not how you build a life of meaning. The truth is, some people will always take more from you than they give. They'll listen to your struggles, your dreams, your plans, and instead of helping you build, they'll feed off your energy. They'll turn your vulnerability into gossip, your dreams into doubts, and your struggles into entertainment. If you let them, you'll end up with nothing left to give. That's why protecting your inner world is so crucial. It's not about being secretive. It's about protecting your peace and your power. When you keep your most important thoughts, ideas, and plans for yourself, you give them the space to grow. You allow yourself to nurture them in peace, without the interference of others' judgments or criticisms. Not everyone deserves to know your truth, and that's okay. There's strength in keeping parts of your life private. It's not about building walls to keep people out. It's about creating boundaries that protect your energy. You don't need to explain your struggles or your journey to anyone who isn't willing to help you on that path. The people who deserve to hear your truth are those who have earned your trust, who will support your growth, and who will hold your story with care. They are the ones who will challenge you to rise, not the ones who will hold you back with their doubts or their need for gossip. So next time you feel the urge to share your life with someone, ask yourself, is this person here to help me grow, or are they just here to consume my energy? If they don't serve your growth, don't let them into your inner world. Protect your peace, your boundaries, and your future. Keep your struggles, your dreams, and your plans close to your heart. Only share with those who deserve it, those who will encourage you, not hinder you. Your life is your own to create. Protect it fiercely. Your progress doesn't need witnesses, it needs consistency. We live in a world obsessed with instant gratification. Every day we're bombarded with messages telling us to share our achievements, to announce our successes, and to seek recognition. The pressure to be seen, to be acknowledged, is everywhere. But here's the reality. Progress doesn't need an audience. The best transformations happen quietly, in private, when no one is watching. Think about it. The most significant changes in your life won't come from the likes, the comments, or the applause. They'll come from the small, consistent actions you take every day, the ones that no one sees. We often confuse progress with visibility, but the truth is, progress thrives in silence. It grows when you're not trying to show the world what you're doing, but rather focusing on doing the work, step by step, without the need for validation. Too often, we feel compelled to share our journey, to announce every step we take, hoping for that instant recognition. But in doing so, we risk losing focus. When you're too concerned with what others think, when you're caught up in showing off your progress, you start measuring yourself by external standards instead of your own. This is where consistency becomes so important. Consistency is what drives true growth. It's the small daily actions that build momentum and lead to real transformation. As the most powerful people you know aren't the ones announcing every detail of their lives. They're the ones who are doing the work, day in and day out, without needing anyone to see it. They understand that their progress speaks for itself. You don't need to tell the world every time you hit a milestone. The more you talk about your goals, the less you do to achieve them. Every time you share something, you risk diluting its power. The real magic lies in the work you do when no one is watching. The late nights, the early mornings, the hours spent honing your craft, all of that builds the foundation for success. When people ask, "What's new with you?" you don't need to give a long story. Just say, "I'm focusing on my routine right now." Let your consistency be the proof of your progress, not your words. We're conditioned to think that sharing our journey is part of the process, but in reality, it's a distraction. The moment you start sharing too much, you lose focus. You start performing instead of progressing. You're no longer working for the results, you're working for the approval, and that's when your growth stagnates. But when you stop seeking validation and focus solely on the work, something remarkable happens. You start to grow at a pace that feels natural to you, not to others. You start to see real progress, not because you're getting recognition, but because you're doing the work consistently without needing anyone else to notice. This shift is what sets apart those who succeed from those who get lost in the noise. Consistency is the real game changer. It's the small steps you take every day that build momentum, that lead to breakthroughs, that create lasting change. And that momentum doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't need to be witnessed. It just needs to be nurtured in silence. Every time you show up, every time you put in the work, you're moving closer to your goal. And while others may not see it right away, they will eventually notice the results. Your transformation will be undeniable. It will speak for itself. So instead of focusing on sharing every little thing, focus on showing up for yourself. Focus on consistency. Focus on the work, and let the results speak for themselves. Progress doesn't need to be witnessed. It just needs to be earned, day after day, with no need for validation. Your journey is yours to own. It's not for the world to witness or validate. It's for you to build, step by quiet step, with consistency and dedication. When you stop seeking attention and focus on the work, that's when true transformation happens. So, protect your peace, protect your momentum, and let your actions speak louder than your words. If you're ready to continue your journey of growth, check out one of the videos on the screen. Keep building and keep evolving.